to today's town hall meeting. And hello everybody, my name is Carolina Galeano and I will be your moderator today. Your usual moderator, Michael Brown, is out covering the talented men's soccer team in upstate New York for their NJCAA Division III championship. Their first game is at 4 p.m. today, and you can keep an eye out on their highlights through Raptors social media.
Awesome.
We are at the Rockville campus today in the Science Center, so if you're watching online or you're nearby, you're welcome to come on in and join us. We're in room 152. I also want to encourage everybody to send in their questions to the following email, townhall@montgomerycollege.edu. But of course, you can also tweet them at Montgomery College using the hashtag AskDrPollard. I would like to ask everybody to help me by keeping your questions, comments brief and to the point, but very importantly, make sure you introduce yourself before asking the question. And now, Dr. Pollard, who is very excited to be our host today, I'll let you take the floor.
Thank you so much, and thank you for stepping in. We really appreciate that. Good afternoon, or I should still morning, to each and every one of you. Hope you're doing well, and I'm delighted for what I'm sure to be will be yet another engaging town hall meeting. A couple things I want to start off with is that yesterday was Veterans Day. Do we have any veterans in the room? Thank you. Thank you. I love the fact that our college campus and the nature of community colleges in general, we have lots of veterans who work at our institution, who attend our institution, and we know that we enjoy liberties based on their service to our country. So thank you all so much for that, and thank you all of you who engage in various activities around the college community and that space. They provide us with a level of security that I think all of us enjoy. And I'm very grateful to that. And I also just want to give a special shout out to my daddy. He is a Vietnam era veteran, and we were very upset because he's normally here with us about this time. He's helping out a cousin of mine who is recovering from breast cancer surgery, but he wasn't here. And as a result of that, Miles did not get to take his pawpaw out for pancakes. So we are going to look forward to that, Daddy, but thank you for coming back home, because therefore I am here. So thank you very much. With that, I want to talk a little bit about a few points before I open up to the floor. And the first one I want to mention is talk a little bit about our public safety and emergency planning. I'm hopeful that each of you has had the opportunity to review an outstanding memo that came out from our new director, Sean Harrison. How many of you read that? I was teasing some people earlier because they just got back. They were on leave. They haven't seen it. That's a whole other story. We'll talk about that. I want to thank our security staff. They have been doing outstanding work, working overtime on a number of issues as we have become much more heightenedly aware of the issues that are facing not only college campuses but our region. Have been very thoughtful in the work that they've been doing to help make sure that our college campus is secure to the extent that they have the ability to do that, and been very thoughtful in that. Last week in the communication that Ms. Harrison set out, I was very specific about lots of things that we're doing, but in particular, a few of the examples that she mentioned, and I'm going to read a few of them because I think it's important. They're posting additional safety and security officers in key locations, such as libraries, assessment, enrichment centers, dining areas, and WDCE centers. I tell you that's very important. I was having a breakfast yesterday morning at the Rockville campus, and while I'm in my breakfast, an altercation broke out in the dining halls, and we were able to call immediately, and campus safety came over. So thank you all for the work that you do in that space. Updated uniforms. I've seen a lot of email about this, the fact that we want our campus safety officers to be visible on campuses. People can easily identify them, so they are doing that. They're enhancing our emergency notification systems to include text messaging, alarm systems. We're doing, actually, they're part of infrastructure in some of our construction projects, doing some things. We're very grateful to that. Placement of security cameras so that we have access to information to be able to look at and understand and monitor areas appropriately. And then a new college-wide protocol that we're doing for all employees and contractors will be required to wear IDs. I will admit that I did not even have an ID until Dr. Warmack put me on blast. Because, yes, she did put me on blast, because did not have I thought my appropriate little lapel pin was sufficient. So everybody in Manatee has been put on blast, and I'm hopeful that each and every one of you understands the importance of that. I'd love to hear Sean explain it. She said, I need to be able to know, for her, someone who's new to the campus, who works here, who belongs here, and who doesn't. And this is an important way. And also, as we move into enhanced security functions in our facilities, this badge will allow you to access certain types of spaces. So it's very important that you get it, and not that you don't get it, you also wear it. Now, I understand there will be a new apparel coming out regarding the lanyards. I understand Dr. Scott, somebody told me, oh, you need to see Dr. Scott and get you a fancy one. Our compliance people have this bamboo thing that they have found. So I am encouraging all of you to get with your IDs, but to wear them. I almost asked for more than one because I know I'm going to lose it, but they told me I couldn't have more than one. So, yes, they did. So you want to keep your ID available. We're very grateful to that. And as you've seen, we also had Montgomery County Police Chief Tom Manger on campus, Rockville campus. Now, I have to tell you, I wish you could see all the faces, particularly of the MCTV people, because they're looking like they have never heard that sound before. And then look at his eyes. His eyes are like, oh. So I just have to tell you, y'all all right? You all right? Because that freaked them out probably more than it freaked us out, since we were talking about security in that matter. Chief Manger, we know that you were here. Thank you. He was very responsive. He's already been working with Sean Harrison and her team to look at local and campus issues, the tactical people. This is new for us. It's something we adapt. We overcome. So we're working on that. We always have had good relationships with them, but we're very delighted that we have a renewed and significant one with them as we're moving forward into the future. There was, though, as you all know, a terrible incident that happened on the Rockville campus on October 19th, where we had a female student who was attacked in one of the restrooms on the campus. It was very frightening. I know for a lot of you can imagine what that would have been like in that situation. But there was a series of things that happened that helped that situation have a very different ending than it could have had. The student shouted out for help. Another student heard the woman calling out for help and went in to investigate. Campus security was called, and the students chased the perpetrator and held him until security arrived. I think that says a lot about our community, and I really want to thank the folks who made this happen. Just one person listening and being attentive and not walking past a sound that they heard changed the circumstance for someone in a very positive way. And I really was moved by this because it was a group of students who understood this and did this. Now, normally I might say, we want to be thoughtful. I'm sure Sean Harrison and the security people tell me we all shouldn't just jump in automatically to do types of things. But this was a moment, because we've seen our ALICE training, that these types of things can make a difference. And as a result of that, I really want to acknowledge the student who heard the voice and went in and answered. And he's here with us today, who got the ball started. Alec Kahan, thank you for your courage. Would you stand up so we can acknowledge you? Thank you. It says a lot that we are a part of a community where people listen and they care, and I see a lot of apathy in a lot of places around the world and some things that scare me, but what I know for sure is that we work in a very special place, and we're very special because we have students who listen, who learn, who reach out, and other groups of students who help with that. So thank you, Alex, and thank you for being here today and letting us acknowledge you. I think it's a lesson for all of us. Be aware, take appropriate action, and always be thoughtful about your surroundings, about what's happening. If you hear something, say something. Talk about a powerful PSA, right? Let me move on just a couple of things before I open up for conversation. Central Services Project. We are exploring the possibility of combining offices and units, and there's some very specific reasons for this. One, we have a series of leases that are ending. We know that those of you probably know, Central Services is located in 4 locations, 40 West Goody. We have the OIT people who are down the street, further down Goody. We have our Standish Place where our warehouse is, and we have Manakee. The spaces other than Manakee, we lease. And we lease them, and we pay several $1 million a year in leases to be able to put our employees in those spaces. We're paying relatively, and I shouldn't say relatively, high lease rates because those were negotiated at a time when the leases rates were at that level. In addition to that, the idea of being able to purchase a building right now makes a lot of sense because we have the record low financial rates that are occurring right now. How many of you bought a house lately? Anybody buy a house lately? If you're thinking about it, this is a good time to buy a house before the feds come in and up the interest rates. This is a very important thing to think about. So there's a very special moment. In fact, one of our foundation members suggested this is a record moment. He said you'll probably never see this again, particularly in Montgomery County, where you have a high amount of office space available because of businesses contracting in lots of ways, but you also have interest rates at such a low rate that if you're able to acquire space, you can save money. So that's one of the things that's very important to us. The other thing is that particularly in our Rockville campus, as you know, we are space confined. Rockville was built for how many students? 8,000 students, and we have over 16,000 students on that campus right now. And even though we have done a very good job of managing that space, there are lots of services that are on there that could come out that will allow the Rockville campus to expand, creating more faculty and staff space, more space for students, more space for WDCE to do work on that campus. So if we can figure out a way to, one, make Manakee a space where those things can come off and still be adjacent to the campus at the same time, I think that makes a lot of good sense. I think the other thing that's probably important to me to say about this is that it is about cost savings. It's about, at the end of the day, making some sound financial decisions for the organization. If we're able to find the right size building to move central services into that allow us to save money and own property as an institution versus leasing and giving away millions of dollars a year to someone else without any discernible way of us being able to show that as an asset for the organization, it makes a lot of good sense to do that. And it also, over time, can be very significant for us. So we're looking at this right now. Matter of fact, probably one of the reasons I'm getting fussed at by Dr. Warmack all the time is that if I'm telling her we have to figure out ways to save money, part of that means we have to adjust in our head about how we do certain types of things. Space utilization is one of them. So very grateful to the team that's working on that. You'll hear more about it. We're trying to figure this out. We're working with our Montgomery College Foundation. As you know, they have done a lot of work for us in this space. They've been able to help us acquire the parking garage at the Tacoma Park Silver Spring campus. They helped us acquire the Goldenrod building in the Germantown campus. They also helped us get the K-Fritz building at the Tacoma Park campus. They're helping us with the garage on the Rockville campus. So there's lots of things they've been able to do because they're very innovative and think differently about their role. While we want them to be out raising money, right? Yep. We also are very grateful to them about how they're doing this space around development. The last thing, two things I want to hit upon, it was asked of me last week, last time we had the town meeting, about the financial assessment that we're doing of the child care centers. We are doing that right now. In particular, I've asked for two very specific pieces of information that Drs. Warmack and Brown and Rye are working on, and they're putting this together to do some analysis for me. One is to very thoughtful about the enrollment decline. I've been seeing some very thoughtful things about this, and one of the things I found out is that only half of 1% of our students at Montgomery College use our child care centers, our early learning centers. So we're having to be very thoughtful about that. In addition, the increased facility costs that are coming with that, we have some significant issues about facilities on a couple of those outside of our Germantown, which is brand new. We're going to have a serious conversation if we can continue to afford the programs and how we do that. It's not a statement about the value of the employees. This is a very important thing to note. There are ways in which we can do some things differently, but it's going to be a very thoughtful conversation. I've asked, and we're learning each time we have these conversations, what to do and not to do. So Drs. Rye, Drs. Warmack, and Brown are working on that project right now, and I'm very hopeful that they'll be sending out some communication to the college community to update. One of the things I said, let's make sure we all have the same definitions. We all have the same data, that we understand what we're looking at to inform people and let people know about how this conversation is going. And then my last conversation, and then I'll open it up here, I noticed that we had a vibrant email exchange happening on the college community the last couple days. Y'all have noticed that? I have to tell you, I was a peeping Tom on those because I would, in a couple meetings, just kind of scan my email and see where it was going. And I will admit I woke up the next day and flipped on to see what happened overnight because some people were still prolific about that. I have to first say, this is what an intellectual conversation should be about. I think when the conversation first got started, this idea of talking about the various viewpoints and the various ideas about what the literature might say, about the discipline, that's an important thing. That's what being a part of an academic institution is about. I always tell the story the first time I heard Angela Davis speak, and she came to Iowa State University. And her speak was great, but you know where the real power was? It was the next day when I got to see the faculty from women's studies, political science, sociology, and probably English debate her and we sat there as students listening to that, and then to go to the bar and see the graduate students trying to replicate that later in the but that was powerful. So that's what we're supposed to do in an academic institution. But we also got to be thoughtful about email etiquette, right? So I think there was some good constructive feedback. I really want to call out, I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I thought Dan Wilson's comment was so right on point. Let's do this. So if we can have a space where we talk about let's use the space that was meant to do that. They're talking about an event, go to the event and be a part of the conversation and be engaged with that and have a subsequent one. So I really congratulate the department. I think it was history and several others who are bringing the speaker. We have our Athenaeum Symposium. We have all types of, I was talking to the psychology department. They do these things as well. That's what it's supposed to be about, but engage in healthy discourse about what's happening. And if you don't want to be a part of the conversation, hit delete. And a few of us who just reply all for no reason, let's be a little thoughtful about that as well. All right? Thank you those are all my introductory comments. I got them out in 10 minutes. So with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Pollard. And I do want to encourage you all to raise your hand if you have a question. We're going to start with a web question. So this is coming to us from Osama Maham. His question is, Montgomery College is welcoming, friendly, and a diverse place for us, international students. However, we struggle a lot looking for information about scholarships, internships, and enrollment in certain programs. The international student coordinators on 3 campuses, they usually help with visa-related issues, but not with academic advising, and many advisors do not have specific and accurate information for F1 students. We find the information sometimes very ambiguous. We also struggle in our first weeks understanding how the system works as far as GPA, credits, etc. Is the college planning to tackle these kinds of issues for F1 visa students, and is there a plan to give us opportunities like enrollment in the Hillman Entrepreneur Program?
Awesome, thank you. What's his name again?
Osama.
Thank you, Osama, for that question, because and when we get them ahead of time, I actually ask people for some answers. So as a result of that, I actually sat down with Dr. Brown and Melissa Gregory, Dr. Melissa Gregory as well. Yay! And they gave me some information I thought was important, Osama, so I'm hopeful that, one, if you don't hear a lot and much, if I don't give you enough information, there's also a website that you can go to, montgomerycollege.edu/international students, that has a lot of the things I'm going to say very briefly on it. First of all, we do hold an orientation for international students when they come to Montgomery College to give them each semester key pieces of information about how the organization works, how to navigate advising, to understand. Because if you can think about not only the cultural changes that happen when you're an international student coming to an organization, but our systems. And you imagine what this is like for people. I talk to my sister, who always says to me, outside of education, y'all are some special people, right? And she's a banker, and I tell her, you really special as well. But I do think it's important that we're talking about 2 types of entrance into the organization. One as it relates to culture, but also one about our academic processes. We do have some resources such as scholarships and internships. Those are limited, and they're based on the sponsor of that particular program, how they define it. They're based on the agency that provides the resource, and many of them are not available to international or students who are holding an F1 visa. Our Hillman Entrepreneurs Program is one of that. That is not something that is eligible based on the donor who has provided the resources for that. However, there are multiple ways in which our counseling and advising faculty work to support the needs of international students. One, all counselors are trained and they work diligently to address the needs of international students. On each campus, so there is a couple typically, that specialize in this particular type of work. So if you want to have more information about that, you can see a link. This again, montgomerycollege.edu. Go to the international education. They can give you very specific about a counselor on each campus who can adjust and talk to you specifically about those issues as it relates to international students. We also have the IMAP, the International Montgomery Advising Program. This is an academic orientation program that's available to all students, but this one has been customized for international students. So it's a way to have students take that. The other one I found out that I didn't know, that we have a seminar for international students delivered through our STSU 101. If you don't have that, Osama, I would encourage you to do that because it's a way of learning to navigate the academic process. And then each of our campuses, in particular Germantown and Tacoma Park, offer programming very specifically around international students. That being said, I have asked Dr. Brown to go in and do some work and hold some focus groups with students to understand more thoughtfully about international student issues. I thank you for the question. And if you want to follow up with me, let me know if it was anything I didn't respond to. I'm happy to make sure we get that connection for you.
We have another question coming from Linda Robinson, a counselor here at Rockville. And her comment is, I have worked as a counselor for 15 years. There seems to be a consensus among counselors and AAR staff that the software we use to run graduation credits is inadequate. Often the software is so poor nearly 1,000 applications must be reviewed by hand. I urge the college to update the software and hire additional staff. And this would help us in addition to cross-reference other important records and information.
Thank you, Linda. That's a great observation. I'm assuming we're probably talking about our degree. Is she talking about our degree audit? Yeah. At first I thought it was ArtSys, which is, of course we know is you should have saw the faces when I said ArtSys. Whole nother issue. I appreciate that question because one of the things I'm not quite sure of, and this is one of the things I've charged Carl, and he's been doing a lot of great work on this. One, we have a series of issues about business processes we need to look at. We need to look at integration of technology as a way of looking at tools that can enhance what we do instead of creating burdens for us. And oftentimes that happens in some very unintentional ways. I think the other thing we have to do is be very thoughtful about retiring certain softwares that may not be meeting the needs that we have right now for our contemporary students at the institution and for our process to support that. So I do know he's doing a lot of work in that space. I have a briefing, I think, this afternoon to hear some more ideas about it. Thank you, Linda. I will specifically talk a little bit about this and ask Dr. Brown and Mr. Whitman to talk with me a little bit more about that particular software. I don't know a lot about it, but I hear the point you're making. If it's supposed to be a tool and it's not helping, it's not a tool. Gotcha.
Any questions
in the audience? Right next to you.
Please state your name.
My name is Ellen Sloan. I'm the manager of the Child Care Center in
Hello.
Rockville. Hi, Dr. Pollard. Good to see you. And thank you for addressing the child care situation. I just have a couple questions. First of all, I was wondering if, I know it seems like our enrollment is small compared to the number of students that go to Montgomery College, but is it being considered the number of students who use our center for observations, for practicums, and that kind of thing? Because it is, at least in our center, it looks like a large amount of education students, psychology students, design students come. And then my other question was, do you have a timeline of when these decisions will be made and, communicated?
Thank you. I think, as you know, one of my favorite places on campus to visit is the Child Care Center because you all do exceptional work working with students. And I will continue to say that because I know you need to hear that. I think the college community needs to hear that. So going to the extent that we have that information as a part of a class requirement, I've seen initial data about enrollment. They're continuing to go back and get additional information for things like you just said. I hadn't thought about practicums I heard, but you mentioned just plain observations as a part of a class. I think that's a great idea to be able to get that. And so they are working on that. I anticipate, I've asked them to have something come out to the college community as an update before Thanksgiving because I think it's important. It's kind of been out there. They've been collecting data. And one of the things, kind of going to the last question, we have to take greater ownership of the data we have within the institution. And part of that means we have to use the data, but we also can't have garbage in, because when we put garbage in, garbage out, it happens. So we're working on both of that. So we're literally, I was on the phone, was it Monday at 5:30 in the evening with a group of people talking about where is this, how are you defining that? So I'm hopeful by Thanksgiving, before we leave on the break, something to go out. And if not, we'll make sure we let communication happen with the staff in particular. Thank you very much for that. Any other questions in the room before she goes to another one?
All right.
All right.
This is a question from Julie Foster, compliance specialist and project manager.
Hi, Julie.
On July 27, 2015, Dr. Womack sent an email to all employees with the preliminary results of the 5th Employee Engagement Survey. This communication states that the Employee Engagement Advisory Group, EEAG, will be working on analysis of the survey results and be making recommendations during the fall semester. I am aware that the EEAG is working towards formulating recommendations, and I know this process takes time. However, my concern is that in the past years, the entire college community had access to much more detailed survey results, and these results were presented in forums that anyone could attend. Since employee engagement measures are part of the performance canvas used to assess our progress towards our MC 2020 strategic goals, how can units use this data to make improvements when the detailed data has not been shared with them?
Thank you, Julie. As always, you offer and ask great questions. First thing is, you know, the EEAG is now a subgroup of under the auspices of the Employee Services Council. So the Employee Services Council is, I think, receiving their recommendations in the next couple weeks, as far as I know. So you know, they haven't even met with me yet. I haven't seen the recommendations from the EEAG. Typically, even before they release them, they have them come to me. They haven't done that yet because they've been doing, I think, a very thoughtful analysis. They got institutional research engaged with it, so they're doing a lot of work in that space. So my understanding is that they are presenting their recommendations to the Employee Services Council. Then they're also having a conversation with me, probably with College Council as well. I think, Julie, your point you just made, I would recommend that to Employee Services Council to say that, because this is their domain of work. It's not mine necessarily. I'm going to respond to them, and I have already talked to my senior team about what they're going to be doing in response to the EEAG results once I've seen them. But what I think is very important about this is that this is a part of what the governance structure is a good opportunity to utilize. Make that recommendation to them, suggesting that they can hold forums on this, how they'd like to see those structured. One of the things I'll be spending time on with the administrative team, because the other thing has been brought up to me, there are lots of layers of leadership within the organization. There are layers of it, and there are people who sit on top of things. We need to make sure that everyone has a responsibility and actively engage. So I completely agree with you. You can't have a change strategy out there without having the information to the data and access to it. You also can't be very thoughtful about them if you aren't going to sit down and talk about it. So I agree with the idea of a forum, series of forums. I think departments should get their direct feedback, just as I do with multiple offices, compliance, ombuds. Reports go to the individual senior vice presidents. I meet with them to talk about that. So I think your point is very well taken, and thank you as always. If that doesn't, and I'll find the timeline out. I'll ask, I saw Maria, who's the head of Employee Services Council? Who? Felicia. So I'll ask Felicia about that. That's interesting. We should have a conversation. Should HR be in charge of Employee Services Council? Because that's a whole nother issue. But okay, thank you.
We have a question right here, so if you could please stand and say your name.
Hi, Dr. Pollard. How are you?
How are you?
Good.
to see
Good,
you.
good. My name is Atul Roy. I teach mathematics here.
Yes.
Just a tool for that purpose, you know. So I'm just following up on a question that I asked last year. It was regarding us as taking advantage of the liberal rules from the immigration that they have for institutions of higher education for hiring people from overseas if we think they are great. And we have done that in the past very much, and I told you last year that we discontinued it. And during 1 year, I just see one little change in that, and that simply says must be eligible to work in the United States without a sponsor, which, I mean, I have to hire a lawyer really to investigate this in case I want to apply. So any further progress or change that has happened in that
So
matter?
actually, if I'm correct now, and Nadine, if you can, or Janet, let me know if I'm incorrect in what I'm ready to say. There has not been a lot of change in that space. One is that we've been pretty much in a hiring freeze, so we have not done a lot of new hiring in that space. The other thing is I've asked them as a part, because not only does the potential employee have to incur costs, as an institution, we also have to incur costs if we are to go down this pathway. And while the government has been very thoughtful in saying to us that there are certain things you can do, there's a very high burden. And one of our challenges as a college, where we're located, for us to be able to say that we cannot find American citizens who can meet this threshold is a very high one. And this is actually, I can recall this when I was at College Lake County in Illinois. It was a very big issue to be able to demonstrate that based on the educational level of our community, based on the number of positions we have or don't have. So that's one of the things there. Now I'll ask you all, is there anything I'm missing in that you all are doing that I don't know? I am correct. So what I can do is have Nadine put together, and maybe what we need to do is have something that goes on the website that actually speaks more directly to that for potential employees. It says why we do the things we do and what we don't do, because I think we want to set expectations. I appreciate the point that you're making. I think the other issue regarding that, to be quite frank, is we are as an institution very much committed to a diverse workforce and a global workforce. So we want to continue to do that and look at those issues. I think we have, well, I better stop there because I was going to speak about another issue, but never mind. So I will continue to ask that question, but I think that's a good idea to be able to do in terms of employee engagement for potential employees to understand what those rules are and how we go through them. Thank you. Carolina? Oh. Other questions in the room? She hops around, right? Mike. All right.
I've got a question for you.
Okay.
Given the racial tensions that are now spilling over college campuses across the country, we obviously see a lot of attention on Missouri. So what are your thoughts on that? Where do you see Montgomery College fitting into that conversation so that it's productive to that conversation?
Thank you, Carolina. You know what? She didn't tell me this question ahead of time, but I've been thinking a lot about it. And probably I'm a little bit closer to this because I attended Iowa State University, and I can remember in 1988 when I left the south side of Chicago and went to Ames, Iowa. And Margaret, I love Iowa though. Iowa, and I will say that, I loved Iowa. I loved it so much I stayed there 7 years, right? It was a very powerful experience for me, but I do know what it's like on these large land-grant regional institutions in particular that have a call and a need to diversify their campuses. That was what the Iowa State was doing at the time. They were diversifying their campus, so they went into these large urban areas, and they got all these brown and black kids, and they brought us to Ames, Iowa, and they did nothing to prepare the city for us to be there, right? So many of you heard me tell the story of just going to find makeup that matched me, to find hair products, to find stockings. I mean, at the most basic level. But then the other part about having the conversations in the community about, oh, you know what, why do I have to show 3 forms of ID to write a check? Because we wrote checks in the 80s, right? So there's a whole cultural component of that. I think probably for me, as I saw this, and I was with a group of presidents this past weekend at a retreat with women, and we talked about this issue very specifically. And one of the things, as soon as we saw what didn't happen, you could see where the end on this was going. If you have a group of students who are expressing significant issues about things, if we don't take it deliberately to have thoughtful conversations about it, to engage and to listen, what I think is even more interesting, I think was today Insight Higher Ed had what folks are doing now as a result of that. They're learning it very quickly, these lessons. But I think we have some issues at the college we have to address. We are indeed a very diverse institution. We're an institution that has what I believe to be one of the richest cultures I've ever been in as an organization, and we value that, and our community is reflective of that. But part of our conversations we've been having about achieving the promise and closing the achievement gap has been around this issue. So we can have a lot of great, we tout we have 160 countries represented at the institution. We tout the fact that we have our curricula is diverse from here to here, but I'm much more interested in climate and culture. I'm very interested in having conversations about the experiences. So when I hear our international students ask the question that you posed to me, is deliberate upon me to go back and make sure that those answers are there and to talk about them and to create an environment where we talk about these issues and understand them. I think the other thing, the last thing I'll say on this is also we talk about climate and culture, we have to talk about policy and process. So how do we have policies and processes and procedures that align in a way to sustain the culture that we think is important within the institution? We've had a lot of conversations around safety and security in the last couple of months, but this predates other conversations that were happening based on events. How do we treat certain people when the crimes are committed? Do we profile when those types of things? Let's be real about it. How do we begin to address our own inadequacies around it? And that's deep work. You know, as I told somebody, it's beyond the food festivals, right? You know, the International Week, oh, let's have a food festival. Yeah, okay. That was so 1988, right? Now we need to be having engaged, proactive conversations about culture, climate, about experiences, about policy and procedures to support the reality we want to have. So it's something to figure. I'm probably too close to it right now. I'm going to need a little distance, but I do think it was a powerful moment. And I thought it was a powerful moment for student agency. That what I thought was interesting. It wasn't it wasn't the faculty going to walk out or the protest that did it. It was a group of students. And to be quite frank, it wasn't even the fact that the football team was where it cost them $1 million. You forget they're student athletes. And they were students who came together and arranged around it. So it was a very powerful moment. Other questions in the room? I see her holding the mic up.
I'll throw one more.
All right.
Well, we're all supposed to be getting on Benalogic. How do we get everybody in this room to
Oh
meet
my
those
God. You must have
deadlines?
okay, so this morning when I went down to HR to get my ID, because Dr. Wormack had put me on blast, right? Remember I said that earlier? So I went down to get my ID, and while I'm standing there and we're working on getting my ID, I look at it and it's just the postcard that I got at home that I haven't done my Benalogic yet. So when's November 20th is supposed to be done, so I have 8 more days to get my Benalogic done. I think that if you want to have benefits, you should want to do that. Now, of course, Dr. Wormack and Ms. Porter can tell me we're not going to cut anybody off. They're being more kind than I am in this. You gotta get on the system and do it. And you have to go in and you have to put the information in. So I'm going to tell you all, this isn't just because we want to be able to make sure we have benefits. There is a level of accountability we have to have with the federal government, with the ACA. And this is a very important thing to know. We have to be able to demonstrate the type of insurance that people have, that we've made that available to them, that they have the appropriate resources to do that. I mean, I have a whole board presentation this month on the American ACA, and this is all related to that and our ability to do the reporting, because guess what? The order of magnitude, if we don't do the reporting, we're talking millions of dollars and penalties. We don't have that logic. So Benalogic is here to stay. Here's another thing. We found out we got problems with data. We know that. That's part of the reason why you got to go in and put all your information in, because we found out that we have folks who were married and not married. Some people had 5 kids in some places. They had 2 kids in other places. Right? I'm just going to say, so I'm just going to put it out there. So I have 1 baby. And he is appropriately insured. So we want to make sure that we have the correct, in all seriousness, it's about making sure that the college can meet its obligations to you as employees. So November 20th, get your Benalogic done. All right. Caroline, I see a question at hand. Yeah, 2 questions. Yeah.
All right. Well, I have to say first, I'm so proud to have Carolina here, being the moderator. That's awesome.
Maybe
So-
you want to tell them why, because some people in the room won't know why.
Well, because I recruited her to come to Montgomery College, so that's pretty exciting. So.
An alum, and now she's an alum.
So I work in student services, and a couple of years ago there was a restructure of student services, and so we found out a couple weeks ago that there is now a new realignment within student services, which provides an interesting opportunity, especially in the area of access, which my impression is start for the new year. So my question is it possible for faculty and staff to somehow directly be engaged in this change process as it takes shape, perhaps in the form of a very diverse and inclusive work group as this moves forward?
I don't see why not. I'll talk. Dr. Brown is actually sick. I talked to her the other night on the phone, and she actually couldn't talk. I'll have that conversation with her, Maria. My understanding is that she's went around to each of the campuses and had multiple conversations with groups within the college community. What I don't know is how she's planned to go about implementing it, and I will have that conversation with her. I know she'd be open to it because I do think that she has, those of you who know Dr. Brown, she's very deliberate about the processes. So I do know that she's gone through a series of multiple conversations on each campus with multiple groups. I'll ask her about a work group that can continue to do that. And I heard you say diverse in terms of faculty and staff. Thank you.
I
Yes,
have a
ma'am.
question back here.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Bill Primos with the Part-Time Faculty Union. First,
Hello.
let me say thank you for everything you're doing for part-time faculty. We have a new Part-Time Faculty Institute with Dr. Rai and Dr. Thomas initiative, so thank you for that support. But you did mention healthcare, and what I hear from many part-time faculty is there's a great need for healthcare. Many don't have access. I'm fortunate to have a plan through my retirement system. But what is your thinking about perhaps in the future providing some access to health care for part-time faculty, over 900 part-time faculty members that play such an important role for Montgomery College in fulfilling its mission?
So let me ask you before you give the mic back, what do you mean by access to health insurance?
Well, right now, we don't have, if you're part-time faculty, you have no benefits. Aside from, we do have retirement 401k type benefits. And
Some leave
we did
options.
have access to a flexible healthcare spending plan until it was determined at the Affordable Care Act it was not consistent with the legal requirements there. So if for part-time faculty who are teaching just part-time and have no other full-time job, they have no access to health care except maybe through a partner or through a spouse. And that is an issue we hear a lot about, particularly for younger part-time faculty who we want to attract and keep here on the campus. They really make a great contribution. Is there any thinking about maybe in the future offering some access to healthcare benefits?
So I think that, the word access is an interesting one to me because if I'm correct, that's part of the intentionality of the ACA is that where employers do not provide insurance, that there will be a series of, what do they call them? Thank you, exchanges, that people would have access to be able to do that. Unfortunately, the challenges are abundant as it relates to some of the issues that you're talking about. One is that the college cannot provide insurance to everyone who works here. That's something we can't do, just simply based on, I think, the fiscal constraints of that. And I also say to me that there is a part, though, as you describe, an ethical part about this. So for us, we have been very deliberate in trying to provide, when we negotiated the last set of contracts and subsequent ones even prior to that, some other types of benefits as an organization that we do have. I'm fairly certain, and I'll go back and look at this, there are ways in which we make information available about the exchanges to employees. I know I've heard an update on this when we were talking about the presentation the other day. So I can go back and have that information. We certainly can help people know where they can go for insurance, but I don't see in the foreseeable future a way in which, and this is something we'd have to negotiate, because if we're going to provide other types of things, what do we not do in this space? So I think your point is well taken, but I don't see it in the foreseeable future, and that's something we have to do. Did you want to say? I thought I saw a hand over here. No, but I'll be willing to have that conversation with some folks and find out what the options are. I do know I worked with another organization where we were able to make people aware of it, but we weren't able to help subsidize the cost of it. But we were able to negotiate a cheaper access to some insurance for people who had no insurance at all. And that was something that was very useful to people who had no. But I think that's the purpose of the exchanges. So I'll have to go back and look at that. Thank you, Bill. Yes,
We have a
ma'am.
question here.
Dr. Pollack,
Yes, Dr. Gray.
can you give us a, do you want me to stand?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Everybody wants to see you. Stand up for a
Great.
second.
They can all see you.
Don't be so dramatic. Stand up. Go ahead.
If you can give us an update on the new Student Services building on the Rockville campus.
Yeah, happy to do so. So I get a little fired up about this, and I think somebody asked me the other day, and they told me to calm down a minute. So kind of going to a point that we had earlier, at the Rockville campus, we have a campus that was designed for 8,000 students now holding over 16,000. And we have students, when they try to start a program here, they can go to 7 different offices or buildings within the institution to get started as a part of their student service experience. We are in the process now of having some very substantive conversations with the state around this. The county has been very supportive of the college, has a 6-year CIP of which this program for this building has been in for a number of years. We have, at the request of 2 administrations, delayed excuse me, the student services building, and this year it was scheduled to be funded for that being for the FY17. Interestingly, what happened though is that this governor, in addition to reducing the number of programs that were to be funded because they were split over multiple years, took the $80 million that typically had been assigned for community colleges for our capital, all 16 community colleges, $80 million for our capital projects, he reduced it down to $60 million. So as a result of that, our student services building, which goes through a prioritization process, fell below the ranking to allow us to be able to get that building there. So we have, those of many of you know, this has become my new favorite thing to do because I'm reminding our county and our state that they need to be making good on the commitments of our students. Half of all undergraduates in the state attend a community college. We are the largest undergraduate institution in the state of Maryland. Montgomery College is. This campus has been long waiting this. We're losing students literally as they go from building to building and just say, forget it, I'm not going to see this process through. Or especially if Dr. Judy makes you walk around with heels like she did me the first day I was here. So we are working on that. We have had some very positive responses about this. We have a number of our particularly state delegates who have said, you know what, they're taking this mantle up. I saw Speaker Bush a couple weeks ago. He specifically called out the Montgomery College project, so he understands the value of that. I've heard about you. So that was a very good thing. We know that the president has also, President Miller of the Senate has been very deliberate. So we're being very deliberate. We're all in on this. I spend quite a bit of time talking about this. We've done letter writing campaigns. As a fact, we'll be hosting our first ever legislative breakfast with our delegation and our county council to come in and talk with us about this. So I won't say my fingers are crossed because it's about will and spirit, and I think they get it. We had our state comptroller here. He specifically talked about it. We also had our state treasurer here. She understood and got it and even spoke to it when she was at the Public Works meeting in Annapolis. So I think we have some resonance. I'm very hopeful that when the budget comes out by the governor in January, we'll be able to hear that this has been included in there, and then we'll just get the fight to keep it. One of the sad parts about this, though, in order for them to do this, my understanding is not that they've added money into it. What did they do? Took money out from other projects. So that's so our $80 million that go for all Maryland community colleges, most of the 4-year institutions in this college don't build a building that cheap, right? So as a result of that, we are unduly burdened by this, and it only pushes the can to next year when now we're in the same situation where there's no new money available. So I have some concerns about it. So now I'm getting my little fighting spirit up about how we're going to handle that. Thank you very much for the question.
We have time for about one last question. Does anybody want to? If not, all right. Stand in your name.
I'm Tracy Mathias. I work in WDCE. And I realized that many of my colleagues got emails to have breakfast with you. What is that about?
And in other words, why didn't I get one, right? This season. So thank you for that, Tracy. Every year I try to roll out a different way of staying connected with the college community. So a couple of years ago, I started the State of the College. Then a year or two ago, I started kind of this walk in your shoes. I'd come and I worked third shift facilities and the campus security at the Rockville campus. Yeah, I told somebody that is one of the scariest things. It wasn't, the people are glorious. I love our campus, but walking in these dark buildings, I was the guy, he would be standing, and I'd be like right behind him, because it's kind of freaking me out at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was dark. I worked the response center, which I tell you, these people, They're unbelievable how they serve our college community. So I rolled this out as Breakfast with the President. I think I'm calling it food for thought. You meet, it's no agenda. We come in, I kind of have people introduce themselves, and then they come in, and I'm doing it on each campus. I've done now Germantown, Tacoma Park, Rockville. We'll be doing WDCE. We'll be doing Manatee. What I think is our central services, I should say. What I think is really interesting about it is that we send out the invitation. And I keep, what is this? Breakfast with the President. It really is this opportunity, and we do it random. So that's part of it. They literally put all the names. We get a list of all the names of the employees in that campus. And Tacey helps me. She's the one who manages. They pull out the names out of an envelope, and they pull them up, and they send the invitation out. And we invite, like this last one at Rockville, we invited 60, 70 people to come. About 20 were able to come, and that's really what it is. So I'll continue to do it. No paparazzi. I don't have an entourage. It's just me and Tacey. We walk in. She takes notes so I can listen. I talk. I get good questions, and we have some pretty intense conversations sometimes. And then Tacey helps me by following up. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pollard. And we're going to switch gears now and look at a very special project that has been in the works for about a year, a little over a year. So I know this means a lot to you, Dr. Pollard, but I'll let you tell us more about this video timeline.
So you all know that I don't typically like to follow a script. The people always get upset with me. But I'm going to follow a script because there is a video that goes, and there are key points where I have to say key things, okay? So here I go. I can hardly believe that it's been 5 years since I arrived at Montgomery College. Ta-da! It actually has been one of the best things of my life, probably second to my son. This organization and being here has truly been one of the best gifts of my life. And a lot has changed in our organization. New people, new buildings, a few more we need, new programs of study within the organization. But underneath all of this are us as a college and what we're doing and how we've done this, and a deeply rooted connection to our community and the ways in which we impact students' lives. I think that as an institution and as a college, we have been so committed to making sure that we help transform the lives of our students in the community that we serve. And I think we're seeing this even more in the ways in which you're doing it in our community, some very direct outreach. I've talked a lot about accountability in my time here. We'll be talking more about it. It's actually one of the things I've emphasized tremendously with the senior team in particular. But as a part of that, I think you also have to measure your progress, how you've been doing on certain types of goals. So to mark the 5 years, I asked the team, well, first I had asked them to put together a white paper, right? I said, I think we do a white paper that kind of says what we've been doing. Well, no, because we have such phenomenal people who are much smarter than me. They said, let's look at this timeline, and I gave them an organizational framework that I use has been guiding this work and how I think about it, and it is more than I imagined. It's a timeline that's very vibrant with video embedded, graphics, and I'll step out of the way so people can see it. You can explore it at your own interest in your own time. You are in the driver's seat about talking about the experience and looking at some reflections about Montgomery College over the last 5 years. If you want to learn more about the college, you can follow this chronological map. Let's say you're interested in a particular year, like 2010, and find out what we did there. You can check a box in that year, and it'll take you to some of the accomplishments. One of them I'll highlight was the Innovation Fund. If you look at that, you can see we started the Innovation Fund, and this takes you then to learn more about the applications for the fund, the journal that is put out by the Innovation Group, even view the first Innovation Forum. And down at the initiatives, you can see what it offers, the think tank, the innovation journals, a tab, a lab. You can see all of that information contained in one spot for you. Maybe you're more interested in a very special topic. You want to learn more about how the college has, if you're a part of this work group on student services, how has the college prioritized student-focused operations? And you can filter the timeline to look at specifically issues related to student service, student-focused operations. I think it's actually quite lovely that you can look at it in time, but you also can look at it based on a theme. You can dig deeper. Let's say you want to look at the 2014 Science East Center renovations, and you can see how the building went up, how much it cost. You can also see new features about the classroom and activities. Sometimes there are videos about when the ground was broken and so forth. We'll look at one more example, For me, one of my personal favorites, the MC Shuttle, which we started this year. You can actually hear from students. I heard about it actually in a town meeting where students kept talking about the fact of trying to get between campuses for classes. So you can actually sit here. I hear it's been very popular. I stand outside and take pictures and tweet about them because I think it's pretty awesome. And then let me show you another accomplishment which I really like, the Gaithersburg Community Engagement Center. You can see that we had on that day about 1,500 people who've been served since the opening of that center, and you can learn more about it, hear about some of the issues that we work with there and how we are turning the college inside out to a population that often doesn't know how to access our institution. The videos that are embedded are just fantastic. Y'all know some of my favorite people at the college are MCTV, not because they make me look good, but also because they really go out and intentionally capture the college in different spaces. So you can see that here. And then if you want to explore another topic, and I'll give you one that I really like, monitoring student success, you click on that link, you can go there, and it takes you to lots of different things. Right now, at the top of that, you can see the Starfish Retention System, our work in that space. It tells you how, there's a video that'll tell you how it works, why we chose it. You can hear students' perspectives about the advantages of that. So I really want you to think about how you can utilize the system. There's actually a section in each year that's dedicated to faculty and staff accolades. You can have the highlight there. All the videos that MCTV does at the year about year in review, they're all on here as well. So this is a really, I love the journey. I love the fact that as an institution, we have been on a journey, and sometimes it's hard to see the whole picture together based on where you are at one moment. This was our attempt to really showcase where we've been, and there's a welcome introduction at the beginning where I talk about it, and then a longer interview that Heather Milkey did with me, outstanding in terms of that. And the last thing you'll see is an opportunity for you to get engaged around this. So if you click the engage button, there's lots of ways it talks about becoming a part-time faculty member at the college, talks about getting active with our alumni association, sharing your story, blogging about the college, following us on social media. So I think this is a really exciting way to document the college's journey and very specifically allow us to help, what did we forget? And you can say, here's something else that you could add to it, because our intentionality is to make this a living document. It is something that will continue to grow as we talk about our own narrative. I'll end by doing two things. One, many of you know that I don't necessarily like reacting to things, right? So one of the things that often happens is that we were nominated, we were finalists for the Aspen, and we got on the phone, and the first question out of the mouth of the interviewer was, tell us your story as a college. And that was a very profound moment for me, because I thought, how have we been documenting our story as an institution? How have we been talking about this journey of where we are? And as a result of that, this started to percolate in our mind. This idea of this milestone project is exactly that. It's trying to tell our story, focused around the 6 areas that I've really been focusing on in my mind. And it also makes it very visible to the college, this kind of organizational structure that I've had. But the last thing is I want to do is to thank some people. So here's this, like I said, I said, let's do a little 5-page white paper that talks about where we are. I brought Dr. Scott into a room, Dr. Holliday into a room, and said, I got this idea for this 5-page white paper. Here's the basic construct of that. Once you think about it, so they came back in and talked to me. They said, oh no, we think we should do a multimedia enriched project that looks at this. And every time I saw it, it just got better. And here's the thing about it. Using a systems approach, they brought in lots of people to be engaged with this. MCTV, our communications team, our IT team, you name it. And as a result of that, here's something I think that reflects who we are and gives us an opportunity to tell our story and to constantly build on that. So thank you all. I hope you'll enjoy it. We'll be sending out more information, but thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pollard, and also thanks to all of you for participating in today's town hall meeting. Please keep an eye out for the President's Corner on Mondays, as well as Inside MC for the next town hall sometime in February. And stay in the loop with everything that we're doing. Follow Montgomery College and MCTV on social media. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.